Today we're talking all about how to make meditation easy and why this is so life-changing. So if you look back on my life years ago, I used to put myself through meditation challenges, try all different ways of meditating, but I could never get it to stick. I don't even think I ever got to a few weeks of doing it consistently before I would either forget or just lose total interest in it. But that all changed one day. It's the most random thing happened to me, but you know, things are never actually random, right? So I was at the gym and I was talking to someone who worked there with my husband, Mike, and this guy was going through a really difficult time. And he was saying how the one thing that was getting him through this time and what was making the biggest difference was that he was meditating. And even more than that, he was on day 400 something of meditating in a row. And that conversation was like a light bulb moment. It's like, wait a second, if he can meditate for 400 days, I can meditate for 400 days too. So that same day, I put myself on a 365-day, 1-year-long challenge to meditate every single day. And the coolest part is, as I'm filming this right now, I am almost at 4 years of meditating every single day. And I'm going to tell you how I got there and how I made this really easy and practical in the real modern world that we live in. First up, let's chat about some huge myths with meditation. And these are things that really held me back. And one of them is that meditation is meant to, stop your thoughts, clear your mind, empty your mind. And I'm calling total BS on that. I mean, when is the last time you've been successful at stopping your thoughts, right? I mean, we're human. We're meant to think. So when I eliminated that idea, that helped a ton. Another thing I've heard often, even in like podcasts I'm listening to, which I think is super cool when this happens to people, but it definitely wasn't the case for me, is you meditate once and you just are absolutely hooked. Or you're meditating and you feel like you're basically levitating, like it just feels so good. And that is not at all what happened to me. The reality is, it really took me a few months to really notice a positive difference in my life, to notice actual changes. And it took even longer than that for it to become a habit. I've often realized that sometimes it takes me a lot longer than other people to notice changes in things or make things into a habit or learn something and for it to actually click. But I actually think that's a beautiful part of the process. I used to really resist that, but now I realize I can pass these lessons on to you because I was not someone who sat down to meditate and I was like, this is the best thing ever. This is life-changing. I am so absolutely hooked. So I'm going to walk you through my meditation practice and really what it looks like, because it's probably going to be different from what you might think. So let's first dive into how meditation can change your life and really how it changed my life. So first up, it made me super aware of my thoughts. Still to this day, I am hyper aware of what I'm thinking. And why that's so important is because the first step to creating any change you want to see in your life is creating that awareness. You've got to know what you're thinking, what you're saying, and meditation can really help with that. Meditation has also really helped to reprogram my mind and strengthen my mindset. And even more so, it has majorly helped me to be more intentional with my time. Because I hear it all the time, and I used to believe it too, that I don't have the time to meditate. And truly, the people that say that are usually who need meditation the most, because I know I was that person too. Because really, if you don't feel like you have even 5 minutes to sit alone and quiet by yourself, maybe it's really time to take a step back and really reevaluate your life. Because I know what that feeling is like, but the reality is most people who are saying that they don't have enough time to meditate are the ones that need it the most. Other great things about meditation, it can really help to calm fears and anxiety. Again, you're taking this quiet, intentional time for yourself. And over time, it becomes more and more life-changing. Other great things about meditation, I have really noticed that it can majorly help to calm fears and anxiety. You're taking that quiet time for yourself where you become really aware of your thoughts. And I really like to journal afterwards too to kind of get everything out, but that is super helpful as well. And also, I get a lot of answers that I am seeking. Often when I'm sitting in my meditation, I'll ask a question, something that's on my mind. As I've found, answers most often come in silence, also known as meditating. And finally, let's get to my own practice. As I told you, it probably looks a little bit different than what you've heard or maybe what you're used to, but it is super simple. So first thing in the morning, my husband Mike and I sit down on our little table outside that's in our lanai, and I have my Insight Timer app open. And why I love Insight Timer app is because you can do things like guided meditations. They have all sorts of music and things like that. I even love it for when I'm working because they have some focus music on there, like binaural beats. But what I really enjoy is a silent meditation. So I use one of their timers. It's like a gong kind of thing. It's really nice, like melody basically. And it starts and then stops it. And we do it for 15 minutes. And all I do is I just sit there and relax. Sometimes I even have my eyes open and I'm just kind of gazing outside. Sometimes I'll see my dogs walking around. But what I really pay attention to is my thoughts that are coming in. And I'm just aware of how I'm feeling. And I just sit there for 15 minutes, taking deep breaths into my belly, either closing my eyes, sometimes again having my eyes open. And it's really as simple as that. And the thing is, and still to this day, again, I'm going on almost 4 years, and very often, just so you also feel like you're not alone if this happens to you, because I think it probably happens to almost everyone, when you are sitting quietly with your thoughts, because of how our brains are designed, it's not going to just be like harmony thoughts and beautiful and amazing. Often I'll start thinking about things I got to do for the day or any little worries in my life. Those come up naturally. But the coolest part, and I think what makes meditation so life-changing, is you learn to reprogram that and refocus your thoughts. Because again, I become very aware of my thoughts. And so as I find myself going through my to-do list for the day, I just push that aside and refocus my energy, focus on my breath, and it feels so good. More than anything, it feels like an amazing dose of self-care to give yourself that 5, 10, 15 minutes of time. And again, you start with wherever you're at, with whatever you have. So if you have 2 minutes, start with 2 minutes, because something is better than nothing. And this part is totally optional, but once the timer goes off, as I mentioned, I really like to journal. I get my thoughts out. I do my morning 3, which I've shared before, and it takes maybe 3 to 5 minutes, something like that. Very little time, but such a huge impact on my day. And one of the biggest things here is that it means that I'm starting my day with not only intention, but I'm also doing something for myself before I go out and serve the world and help others. And that, my friends, changes everything, and it could truly change the entire flow of your day. The thing is, changing your life only comes through action and the willingness to try something new. And so when I look back on that day, back when I was in the gym, and the guy was telling me he was on day 400 something of meditating, I think, wow, that day truly changed my life. So maybe this video can do the same for you too. Because I know what it's like to struggle with meditation or feel like it's not making any kind of difference. But I can promise you, the more you stick with it, the more changes you will notice. So lastly, and most importantly, I want you to remember that even when it doesn't feel like it, you have totally got this.